Hey, folks, here's a brief discussion about Haibun. Now, I'm a Haibun addict. I love it. I think it's one of the best forms for us to in within Haikai to play with and have fun and express ourselves with. It's also something that brings people who are into prose or prose poems into our world. It introduces them to something. Roberta Beery's done an excellent job of promoting that and bringing people in, drawing them in. It's also if you write prose and you have a short prose period piece that you've written, fine, find a haiku or senru poet, collaborate. There's nothing wrong with collaboration on these things, nothing at all. In fact, that is the spirit of haikai. That's what it's about. Basho himself, first of all, he never wrote a haiku in his life because the word haiku didn't show up till he was gone for several hundred years. But the he was a haiku poet. He wrote the starting uh, verse poem for Renge. Pardon me, Renga. Sorry, Gary. I brought you into the past. I'm bringing you to the present in a minute. But if you're doing it linked verse, okay, that's what he did. And he said, what did he say? He was his strength as a poet, responding to haiku. He he was a guy who could be his best poems are sometimes found. People don't realize it buried in Renga, which are long 30, sometimes 100 different poems, responding, starting with the first poem. Don't want to get too complex about that today, but that's what I'm going to tell you is you can have a lot of fun here. Now, there's three aspects of Haibun that are part of the mix. One is the title, which I think is very important, but I want to put an asterisk here. I have and will continue to publish untitled Haibun. If that's what you choose, I'm fine with it. We're not telling you what the rules are again. The other thing is, I want you to consider some things, though. It's a great way to key the uh, the reader into what the topic and where you're going with it. And I like to see, but don't require it. I like to see that the title and the capping poem, whatever the last poem is in it, could be the first poem, could be the first thing. That I want to see the connection between the senru and the title. I like that. Don't require it. People will give you all kinds of silly rules. They'll say, don't repeat this, don't do that, don't do that. And then you go look at the winners. HSA has a site where they have a contest every year, and they've had it for some time now, decade or more, of Haibun. And go look there and take a look at the varied styles that have been winners. And there are varied judges. This is why I like looking at those contests. There's a whole lot of judges, esteemed judges, who have picked poems that are different and of different styles and different types. Now, when it comes to the prose, usually the prose is next after the title. I say usually because you can start with the poem. In fact, you can have one poem and have it be the start. Quite possible. My cuckoo clock's going off. Probably a commentary on me. But the key to this thing, to understanding the prose portion, is that it is a prose poem. Now, that can be in the Queen's English, or it can be something that would make E. E. Cummings proud. I don't care. That portion is yours to create. Okay. And if you want to write, by the way, I'll make a footnote because I learned this from Penny Harder, and I remembered Penny. She gave a presentation at several HSAs ago, back in 2008 or something, somewhere around there. And she talked about fiction as part of Bible. So all of mine are me. That's me, my stories, they're all true. They're all true and they're all me, or they're my thoughts. If they're not a story, they're a thought that I'm having. But if you've got a good story to tell, There's a lot of good flash fiction writers and things like that. This might be a great way to sell it. And where you place the poem or how many poems you have is irrelevant to me. You can start with a poem, you can go into the prose, which is the sort of traditional way. And frankly, I do it most of the time myself. Call me traditional. Uh, and you can break up the prose with several poems. And you don't have to have your poem be the ending. It could be your prose that ends the Haibun. So how you present it, how you create it, what you include in it, how long or short it is. I want to see tundra used as a prose in a portion of a Haibun someday. I'm sure I will. But I've written some very short ones, and Johannes does a good job with the other bunny with short Haibun, and been posted there a few times. I always appreciate it. I got to remember to submit more. But the bottom line is the length of the poem. It can be. I've seen them 2 pages. I've written them 2 pages and gotten them published. So there you go. Be careful. You're letting other people define uh, your your work for you or tell you how to be creative. The only way you can be creative is if blah 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 blah. Who cares? The other thing about Hyben that I'm going to tell you is I workshop. I have friends who I put it in front of and I say, "Hey, is this working? Is this making sense? Did I tie the idea together, or what idea do you think I'm talking about?" Because a lot of times I learn that what I thought I was writing about turns out not to be what everybody else is reading. And that's okay. My secret is safe with me. So I want to just point out to you that hey, this is creativity time. At Failed Haiku, we're never going to be telling you how to do it. We just don't want to do that. Now, the other thing is on Hyben particularly, take suggestions. I would say at least 50%, 60% of the time, I change things because somebody else, either in private or an editor, has said, hey, you know, yeah, that last sentence, which should be really helping you sell the prose portion, it sucks. It's good to hear that from a third party. Don't reject it immediately. Sit down, look at it, think about it. On the other hand, if you think you've taken a risk and the editor just isn't getting it, hey, send it to me. If I I'll look at anything that you're trying. I'm willing to see somebody. I'm waiting for the poet to come across that gives us a whole new area to play in with Hyben. A lot of great Hyben poets. Jennifer Hambrick, favorite of mine. Uh, Alexis Rutilla, favorite of mine. Roberta Beery, I've already mentioned, absolute favorite of mine. Lou Welch, favorite of mine. It's just there's plenty of good people out there, and read what we've published. We probably publish more Hyben than anybody else because we have 6 issues, and I'm publishing 30, 40 every time. So that's that's a lot. So you got a lot to look at and see what we're looking for. But if you don't see what you're going to try it anyway. Give it a shot, and I'll be that other set of eyes. And if I say I didn't feel comfortable with it, I didn't choose it to be published, you know what? Take it to somebody else. If you really feel strong about your work and you feel it, don't change it just because some idiot editor, including me, says you should change it. We're making suggestions, and most of the time, what I like to do, and I'll cap it with this little piece of information for you. Most of what I like to do, if I make a suggestion, I say, I'm accepting your work as is. I will accept it, but I'm suggesting that you strengthen the last line. Here's my take on it, but you may do it any other way you wish. If you want to make a change, please get back to me by fill in the blank. And usually the day before publication, I don't care. I'll change it. I'll alter it for you if you wish. So, or I'll tell you, hey, you need work. Resubmit the next time, or if there's room still in the submission period for the month, hey, take it back into the garage, work on it for a day or two, get it back to me, and let's see if you did it. I'm happy to do that. We're here to work for you. I'm your employee. I'm not some genius. I am not. I am not the greatest haiku poet you're ever going to meet, or the greatest Haibun writer, or the greatest Haiku writer. I'm not. I can't produce everything perfectly. No one can. So, but you should take your shot. I want to take anything that you believe is in the spirit of Haibun. I'm in. Thanks for listening.